welcome to this demo on how to use light at your house with the available light that you have. I'm going to be looking at window light. I'm going to be looking at modifying light with flashlights or any lamp or anything like that that you have in your house. So a couple items. First is the best lighting that you're going to get in your house is probably going to be a window light. You want to get a window that's not being lit up by the sun, meaning that you don't want any light rays coming in. You want the window to have a lot of light coming in, but not direct light. In some cases, maybe the window that you have available at your house at that particular time does not have the window in those conditions, so you might have to improvise. So one of the things that I recommend is figuring out if you can put a curtain or something like that over the window to soften in the light. In the studio at the school, we have a softbox, and basically what that does is it makes the light source bigger, and it behaves like an overcast day. So it's really soft light with no harsh shadows. So you can mimic that if you get a window and you put a fabric or something that's translucent white over the window, like a curtain. Some of the curtains that you can use is on the showers. You have those like inside liners that are like translucent, kind of like murky white. Those work great if you throw it under the window. If you have a direct sunlight coming in, it will soften your lights and it will be basically like a softbox. I thought about other things that you could do to soften the light. I was thinking about paper. If you use paper, and if you have, obviously, if it's a huge window, it'll be a lot harder, but if you have a smaller window, about like 2 feet or 3 feet, and you want to cover it, you can use paper and you tape on the top, right, in each corner the window, and then you go and get another piece and tape it right next to it. Let me get another one. All right, and you tape another one right next to it, and then you keep going on. You're probably going to need like 3 for a normal window size, and then you keep going on below. So maybe you'll waste like, I don't know, like 8 sheets of paper, but the paper will actually allow light to go through and it will soften it. So that's something that you can use to soften the light. So that's like light modifiers that you can use, improvise at your house. You can also maybe use a t-shirt or something like that. If you have an old one and you want to cut it up so that way it's not double and you have a single layer, and you can put it over the window, that will basically create a softbox effect where it softens the light. There might be other ways that you can think about when you're at your house and you're walking around. You might find something that you already had that could work for that, like a bed sheet or something like that. But that's only if you have direct sun. If you don't have direct sun coming in, you don't have to worry about it. It's going to be a beautiful light coming in. Even sometimes you want that like light rays coming in because you want the harsh light in the window, and that's totally fine. I'm just trying to think about possibilities depending on what you want. So that's to softening the light. Another thing that you can do is if the light is coming, let's say from this side, right, and you have this side of the face lit, but this side is kind of dark, you can use different things to fill the light. So the window will be your key light, and then you have a fill light. You know, you've seen those like pop-up reflectors that people hold and then it will bounce light in, but you might have something at your house that you can use. For example, something like this. Is this like a window shield for cars? You can look at this even already, like bounce a lot of light into my face from the ceiling. So this could be used, for example, on the opposite side of the window to fill in some light. You might need some assistance, so siblings will be needed as photo assistants or parents or something like that. But this is really useful, and you probably have one in the car already. If you don't have this, there are a couple other things that you can use. Anything that's reflective or that is like a whiteboard. For example, I have a small whiteboard here on my desk. You can use something like this, you know, like a little whiteboard. If you have a still life, you can actually put, you know, the objects and then put the whiteboard, because it's kind of like white, but it's reflective. So you could do that where you like put it on the side to bounce light in. So this will work great for a still life. Obviously, if you have a person or something like that, you need something bigger. For still life, I have some objects over here where I'm going to go over some of the items that I have so you can modify light. I have some, this is like a mouthwash to put a flashlight through it so it can make interesting light. I have a water bottle that I put food coloring and you can put any color you want to make that light source behave in that color. I have also a water jug to soften the light. You can put a flashlight through it and it behaves like a bigger light source, so it's a little bit softer. You have a still life. So I'm going to go over some of those details right there on how you can modify the light source. And remember, we're improvising. You have to think creatively of what can you find around your house that you can use either to make it a light source like lamps, flashlights, and then to modify those light source. Any type of fabrics, you know, like you have like the litter Sprite bottles can be kind of green color. Those can be kind of interesting, or any kind of glass, you know, object that you have that you can shine light through it can also make interesting colors. Now, if you don't want any of those effects, that's totally fine. I would recommend a window light. If you're shooting outside, shoot in an area that is basically on the shade, and then you will have soft light. If you want harsh light, then you have to use a wall or a location that has direct sunlight. But most of the time for the project that you guys are doing, you want a more poetic light. So you want either shoot early in the morning, okay, so you have a really nice light, or you can shoot late in the afternoon, evening, where the magic hour is, which is right after the sunset. It's like really nice, or before, when the sunset is happening, like you have really interesting light colors and things like that, so you can make it really nice lighting. So I'm definitely going to be looking at your light, and I'm going to be looking at the location and how you do it. So I'm going to go and do a little like still life, just so you can see how the different elements that I have here work. So you can kind of get ideas. You might not use them, but maybe you might get some ideas of something that you want to do yourself and think it can work for your project. So I'm trying to think about things that you can do at home with the objects that you have around you. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and set this up, and we'll see you in a little bit. Okay, so these are the objects that I have. I have a water jug, I have the water bottle with food coloring, and some other items. Okay, so here we have the setup with the water jug and a flashlight putting light through it, so it gives us a softer light. Now I'm putting on and off the reflector, which I'm using aluminum foil, and it will bring in light in a little bit. So that's with the reflector bouncing light in as a field light, and then when I take it off, you can see that it's darker. So that's the before and after. Okay, on this setup we have the mouthwash as the color filter. So right now I have a flashlight putting light through the mouthwash, and now I'm putting a fill light that you saw there with the aluminum foil to kind of bring in some light from the opposite side. Okay, on this setup I have a water bottle that I put green food coloring to create a more dramatic light, and here I'm moving the water bottle so you can see how it changes the light source. And you can make an interesting setup with this by moving it around until you find the sweet spot. Okay, so if you're looking for a more soft light, this is the setup that I put near a window, so you can see that the light is really soft, really even. I have a table that I put a shirt over it, a black shirt, and then I have a white wall behind it. So right now I'm going to put the fill light, which is basically the aluminum foil, and it's bringing in some light to make it even more flat. But you can play with this. You can use the opposite side of, like, let's say a book, and then put a white paper over it, and it will behave similarly, filling in some light. So that's with some fill light, so you can get a sense of how it looks, and without the fill light. That was that. I did a very simple still life, one where I did it in the dark so you could see the different light modifiers. So one of them, the main one that I did, was basically a water jug. You can do a water gallon. This one is a Nalgene, and it has a headlamp attached to it, so you can see when I get it close to my face, right? It does interesting light. It's a lot softer. It's better than pointing a flashlight to your face. This will actually make it look better. So this is like, something that you might have at your house. It doesn't have to be a headlamp. For example, you could do it with a flashlight. So this is with a flashlight, so you could see, how it looks. I can feel it, the light. It's really nice and soft. So that's something like if you want to do a portrait and then suddenly it's at night and you're like, oh my gosh, like the light on my house is not good. Maybe you can find a light modifier like this, or a water jug, or something like that that will soften. You can use a t-shirt and throw the light through it, or something like that. So no excuses, flashlight can work. The other one that I showed you was putting the light through some kind of color. One thing I thought that most of you probably have at home is a Listerine. I think I showed you a video of, there's a lot of people on the internet that use stuff like that. You can just, put the flash, the light through it, and you can get like interesting like lights. This one is kind of strong, so let me try with the other one, this one right here. So there you go. Like depending on the angle that you do, you might find something that works better, that gives you like a nice effect on the face or the objects that you're shooting. That can be kind of cool. This light actually has like a way of minimizing the strength, so you might have to do that so you can make a nice light so it's not too strong. The other one that I did was basically a water bottle, and I put some food coloring in it, and basically the more you put, the denser it will look. And I didn't put that much, but you can see the color. It's pretty green. And now if I put the light source through it, let me make this one more intense like that. It can give you some cool effects. Right now the lighting on my studio and the camera is like not that great, but you get the idea. But it looks pretty good. You can make some cool effects with this. Definitely will be something that you can play with. So that's one thing I showed you. Let's see, what else did I show you? Using reflectors. So I knew that a lot of you are not going to have reflectors. We left them at the school, but I have an idea. Like you can use aluminum foil as your fill light. Like it's kind of hard here because I don't have a light source, but you can see it a little bit on my face. I can probably like find the light somewhere there. So this is one of the things that I used on the video that I did, where I put the objects and I put this so you can see the fill light. Pretty easy. Aluminum foil, you can put it in a book basically, and you flap it like this, open like a V flap. So you don't have to have a cardboard. You can just use a book and then wrap the book on aluminum foil. So that's one thing. You can use also just white paper. So if you have white paper and put it on the book, that can also reflect light. So white or silver like this can reflect light. Something I already mentioned, if you have anything like a whiteboard or something like that, you can use it also to reflect light. That can work pretty well because it's like a glossy surface. But that's only if you need fill light. Those are like reflecting light towards your subjects. So that's something if you find like you want to play with. I also talked to you a little bit, about using the car shades. Those work pretty good, and you can find them really cheap. Those are some of the things that you can use. Now, the main thing is figure out what your background is. On the still life that I did, one of them was basically a black shirt wrapped around the table. So I basically put it over the table. And then I put like a white thing that I found on my house behind it. You can find a wall or something like that, so make sure you find like a table. If you don't have a table, you can use a chair. And a chair will look good if you put like some fabric over it, and you can make your still life there. If you find some piece of wood or any surface that will be interesting, also walk around your house and try to see if you can find a location that already has an interesting light. So you don't have to modify light or create lights with flashlight. Those are just backups, right? Taking advantage of the natural light is a key element in any photographer or videographer. So make sure that you open your eyes and walk around and look for interesting light that's being created by the things around you. But the other things are kind of like modifying things. I also posted some videos that you can use like Ziploc bags and paint them with markers, or you can use like whiteboard markers, and you can paint the Ziploc bag with that and put it over the light, or you can put it even over the camera if you want to create like a fuzzy effect. So that's something else that you could do. Or you can shoot through things too. That's a great thing to do. Like you can shoot through like bottles, you can shoot through like liters of soda, glasses, eyewear. Anything that you can shoot through it might create an and freeze frame. And the code word for the video is pineapple. Interesting effect for what you want to communicate. Okay. So those are things that you have to be open to look for when you're in your house. Try to find things that maybe you will never be thinking about, but now that you have this project and you're constrained to your house, like you have to find, okay, this will be cool, this will be cool, and sometimes you have to play with it, and then you realize it doesn't work, then you go to plan B. So you have to have fun with it and you have to play with it. It's not meant to be like, you know, you're gonna do a masterpiece in one try. Like you have to kind of like move around space, try different things, and if it doesn't work, hey, you go again next day and you play around some more. The whole process of this is to learn by creating and getting involved with your project. Okay, so if you have any questions, please let me know. I will post some other videos about Photoshop, about different type of techniques on the camera and things like that, so you guys can have some fun at your house. But one of the most important things, remember, use available light. Wake up early in the morning, you know, in the sunset, you know, time in the evenings. And if you have no option that work on direct sunlight, remember to use paper to cover your window if the sun is coming in, if you want to make it soft, or try to find another window, another location that has interesting light. Okay, so I'm going to be looking at that, your idea, okay, what you're going to communicate, does it actually relate to your project and the environmental issue you pick, what elements, symbolism, so all those things, I'm going to put them together and kind of be looking for them, and then you should be thinking about them as you go. Okay, if you have any questions, shoot me an email and I'll see you soon.